Hello, everyone. Today I've got Pablo Pagan, the director of Voyager. This is a film out of Spain that we had a chance to see at Film Quest. And you're joining us from Spain, so this is a long distance call. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Pablo, and your film?
Hi everyone, so my name is Pablo Pagán. I'm the director of the short film Voyager. So Voyager, as he said, it's a film that premiered at FilmQuest. It's a film about a truck driver that discovers the ability of astral projecting. It's a bit of a neo-noir thriller with a bunch of genres mixed in. And yeah, we're currently still distributing it at festival, so really happy for now at how's it going. We had the chance to travel to the US, to travel to Utah to screen it at FilmQuest, so really happy about that.
Yeah, and it got well received. I mean, at Film Quest, you were nominated for a couple of different awards, Best Student Film and Production Design. So that probably felt pretty good. So I take it that you're still in school, or was this like your final project, or
Yeah, so that was our thesis film from our third year in Barcelona, back at the film school in Barcelona. So that was our actual last year. So yeah, it was like the last project we did. And it was a student project. The team was actually fully student, but I like to think of the project like it was sponsored by the school and we had help from them, but it was all of us came together just like we want to do something like bigger than a thesis film. We just want to do like a whole big short film. And so we went and put all our effort, and yeah, so it's kind of a student, but we wanted it to not look student like. So I hope we managed to do that. And yeah, the awards are great. We're really happy about them, especially the student one. We actually won it, so that was great. And production design, Mar is the production designer. She's great. I'm really happy the technical awards get recognized at some festivals.
yeah. So like you said, you won the student award film. So I think you made that step forward saying, yeah, this doesn't look like a student film. Uh, but just even making it in the festival, I know with the number of films they get, that's quite an honor itself. So congratulations on that.
Thank
So
you.
you're listed as the director, but I'm sure, like in so many short films, you probably wore a number of different hats behind the camera. So tell me, what were some of the other things that you were involved in the production of Voyager?
So, for like Voyager was a big step forward in terms of my directing life because I didn't have to have all the hats on me. That's something I've always had to do in my other short films, and on this one, I actually had a big crew. I had every head of department working tirelessly, and that was great because I could take a lot of weight off. But yeah, as always, you have to do some stuff. I was also involved in production. I was also involved in actually wrote the screenplay, and I also did like a number of small things. I had to do some VFX, minor VFX work. I had to do like some minor. I had actually to do graphic design, promotion, distribution, but all that. Sometimes as a director, you have to do that. But I'm actually really happy because usually when you work with a student crew, you're not sure where is the like, and it was also my first time working with them, so sometimes you're scared as to can I delegate everything on like non-professional crew. And I had the like I was really lucky, I think, to work with such an amazing crew because they were able like just like first time working together, being a student, to bring together like a really huge project and a vision, pretty complicated vision. So I'm happy about that.
Okay, so kind of talking about the vision of it, the film. I mean, it has quite a unique look to it, but it's also quite the unique story. And you mentioned that you were involved in writing the screenplay. So that leads me to ask, where did you come up with the concept of what you wanted to do with astral projection and this character?
So the idea came to mind like 3 years ago. And at the beginning, it was I had the concept, so the astral projection thing. I had the voyeurism aspect of it. I found really interesting. But what I didn't have was the extra structure, how I wanted to tell it. So it came a point during development where I was like, this could actually work as a thriller, as a neo-noir thriller, as a crime thriller, So what would happen if you take the classic crime story and bring a fantasy element to it? That's something you don't usually see. They're usually like really grounded in reality. I wanted to explore this fantastic concept in a down to earth way. So with that in mind, I tried to puzzle together the story. So thing is, it was a short film. So with the short film, what you have to do is condense it a lot. So even because it's a really complex arc, so you want to have your underdog story, like you morally gray character turning into a villain, but this arc is really difficult even for a feature. So we had to kind of rush it off a bit on the short. So we mostly focus on the main character. So we would have liked to tackle a little bit more on the crime aspect, on the concept, on the other characters, but we really had to focus on her and her arc to kind of pull it off. But yeah, it was really complex because it's like big concept, big character, weird timelines. So we just had to bring it all up, and it was really stressing the screenplay, this writing process because yeah, you're like, I don't think I can pull it off like by the deadline. And you're always like, even when the deadline comes up, you're like, yeah, this is not the final version. I'll do a final one, but then you just run out of time, so you have to run with what you have.
Okay. So it turned out really well. Obviously, if it got an award for best student film, and you do have that aspect of the two timelines as they catch up to each other, which plays off very well to it. And there's some other things I won't go into about the metaphysics that I thought was a very interesting and intriguing aspect. But like you said, this is you got a much broader world going on here, especially even with the lead character uh, at the end because of what happened to her during the show. So what is the plans? Do you have any plans to take, Voyager to a bigger uh, timeline, maybe to a feature, or to include more on this story that you have?
So yes, actually the short film was so we first, like I was telling you, like we felt that the story was a lot broader than a short film. So we actually thought out the story as a feature. So we had the main structure of the feature. We're like, this is, yeah, we cannot do this, like it's too expensive. So we went for a proof of concept. So the short film was actually the feature film, kind of the big acts of the feature condensed into a short film, so we could tackle everything we wanted to tell in a really fast way. That's
Mhm.
why the rhythm is really frenetic during the whole short film, because it's like there's a bunch of things condensed into it. But we're actually working right now on the feature. We're developing it. We're actually writing it, trying to get financing, and we'd love to shoot it sometime in the near future. So that would be great. We're actually not sure if we want to shoot it here in Spain, like the short film. We want to explore because for me the short film has a really broad, like it's not based in anywhere. We wanted to play with the kind of city without a name themes, with the all the neo noir themes, the like the yeah, but behind, like under the metropolis, like the world that exists there. So for us it's, and it also plays a lot with the collective imaginary. So we just are trying to write it in a way that you could shoot it anywhere, so you can just work with the character and work with the style. So that's what we're trying to do. Hopefully something like it gets related or something. So looking forward to it.
All right. I think it would be a very interesting feature to see how it all plays out with the different timelines and or the continuation of the character. Because that, I'll admit, the ending really intrigued me about the idea. And I don't want to give away spoilers, but I think I'm going to. The idea that her shadow is still alive after her death, I thought was a very intriguing aspect that has a lot of possibilities of what could be played with. So that was I really enjoyed that. So let me
Thank you.
ask this then, in terms of this short film directly, you said that you had your premiere here just this last October at Film Quest. So if somebody wanted to go see this film, do you have a schedule already for it? Some other places that will be showing, or where they can look for it?
We're gonna be, yeah, there's a bunch of festivals lined up, but I'm not sure if any of them are in the US right now. Um, I don't think so. Of course, we're gonna still touring festivals for like a year, so I'm sure it's just that usually genre festivals are generally in October, November. So when those months are over, there's usually less of genre festivals, so you have to go look at the more general
Mhm.
theme festivals. But we're pretty sure we're gonna be releasing it online at the end of next year, which is still a long time away. But we're for sure gonna give it like broad online campaign. So at least there's gonna be that, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a bunch of online festivals so that you can access them like remotely. But I'm not really sure where, because FilmQuest had an online program, but I think that
Yeah.
one's finished. So for sure, September, October 2024, it's gonna be online. That's for sure.
And I'll kind of interrupt a little bit there. It's okay to if it's not in the US, because quite honestly, yeah, we have a readership here that's international. So if you're like in the festivals going on in London, because I know there's a big genre festival there coming up, you know, if you get accepted, have you been accepted into some of those others around the world?
There's gonna be a bunch of them in Spain. We are currently doing a lot of Spain because that's my country. So we waited. We did a bunch of international distributing, and now we're premiering in Spain. So there's like 5 or 6 lined up in Spain. Um, we want to hopefully, cross some fingers, go to Sitges next year, which would be great. And maybe, yeah, there's some of them in, I don't think in London, I'm not sure. There's gonna be one in Portugal. There's
Okay.
gonna be in France probably, and maybe Germany, but I would have to get back to I'm not sure which ones I can announce yet, so I don't want to do anything crazy. But yeah, in Spain for
Still in
sure.
the
If
running to
someone
get
is reading
in.
from Spain, there's a bunch of festival playing it all the time.
Okay. So where could they look? Do you have like a website or a social media following that someone could look up to see what the schedule for Voyager is?
Yeah, so we do have our Instagram. So that would be, well, it's hard to spell in English. It's Voyager dot cortometraje. That's the Spanish name for short film. That's with a lot of like J's and stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
it's so you can follow us on Instagram. There's also my personal Instagram, which I also just post stuff about Voyager. So it's kind of works like a Voyager page, which is Pablo.Pagan01. And we also have a Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page. And yeah, that's mainly it.
Okay. I'll get some of that tied in with the show notes so people can look it up and maybe get a chance to see your film in the festival, because we like to promote the independents because I mean that's for the most part we kind of look at independent filmmakers, and I do books and other things. The independents are the ones that are kind of more on the cutting edge. So it's really a lot of fun to see what you're coming up with today, because it's going to be the voice of tomorrow. Yeah.
Hopefully so.
So besides Voyager, you mentioned you're wanting to make that into a feature. Do you have other works that you're kind of working on right now that you're trying to put together?
So right, Voyager was a big like a big thing in my life for a lot of time. So I put a lot of effort into that, and for some time it was like just ton of vision on Voyager. But right now I'm trying to broaden a bit, have some projects come in. So we're developing really early stages of a feature. We're trying to also get it made. And we're also on the screenplay. So it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to juggle two feature screenplays at the same time. But that one's gonna be a more horror, fully on horror focused film. So that actually fits a lot more creatively full, no, like it's you feel more free as a writer, because just like you don't have to. I know it's just more fun. Yeah, I would say the fun is the word. Like you're just writing horror, you just want to make it scary. So sometimes that feels good. It's also a for us an important, like it also has a social aspect to it and all everything. But Voyager, it being so many genres that you want to juggle together, is like you need to, your mind has to go to a lot of places, and just like focusing on one genre is a lot easier, I would say, or fun.
Yeah. It all kind of mashes together anyway. I understand that because my first published work was in the horror genre. So it's a
So
lot of
it's
it's a
fun to
lot of
write
fun.
horror.
So let's kind of back up. We've talked about your film, so let's talk a little bit about you now. Why did you want to get into filmmaking?
Well, thank you for the question. It was like I always like to answer the question, because like one of the best things about I don't know, like doing people that do film, just that the passion comes from like early on, and everyone has the same passion. So for me, was like I think 8 or 9 years old, and it was just um I I saw a movie in which they were shooting a movie, and what really like hooked me was just look so fun, like just dressing up as a zombie and like doing like all that fake stuff. So I brought my little brother and some friends, and we like on my birthdays we were just shooting short films. Like instead of, I don't know, going to the bowling alley or something, we were just shooting films every year on my birthday, like horror films, action films. And it was really fun because it was just like no story, like just explosions and stuff. And it was really fun just to like do little tricks. And it came a point in my teens when I was like, I actually really like this, and I think I would want to turn it into my career. But I wasn't sure if I would like was able to cut it. So I just said, you know what, I'm gonna do like a big film for me. That was working with actors, not my friends, and like having like more than a $10 budget. So I tried to do like a bigger short film, and I really like the process. I can't say how it turned out, but for me it was a really like, yeah, like even if I'm not good at this, I'm gonna do this because it's so much fun. And yeah, so I just went to film school and started shooting, and and then I found
Okay.
like I always had this interest for genre, but it was like I regained that interest like later on. I was like, I really like genre. I'm not focused just on that, but I really like it as a way of telling stories in a different angle.
Okay. So what are some of the films that people might recognize, or not even if they might recognize, what are some of the films that have really impacted you most as a storyteller and a filmmaker?
Oh, so in Voyager or just general?
For you, just in general. But if you want, you
Okay.
can do both. You can tell us what styles you are maybe looking at to copy with Voyager, and then also what are some of the ones that really impacted you as a personal level to
Okay,
help.
yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's better. Yeah, so for Voyager, it's really on the neo noir vibe. We wanted to play a lot with like this like corrupted character from the beginning. So we play a lot with Taxi Driver, Nightcrawler, all of these. Chronicle is a really good reference. We also had a lot of, for example, Old Boy from Park Chan Wook. That was an important directorial reference. A lot of like neo noir thrillers like Seven or Zodiac. And we also had a lot of for the meta, like for example, Enter the Void for visual aspect, Um, and for Voyager, we for the features it's kind of the same. We for one of the later like I had already developed the script for a bit, and the reference came later was Titan. Titan, I really like that film. I found it really interesting, and it actually had me create the character a lot better. It has a lot of similarities. And for my broad sense of filmmaking, I love Fincher. I really like Nolan. In terms of how he structures the stories, I love Guillermo del Toro. I have really been also Pan's Labyrinth is one of the films that was so set in Spain. Actually, after the Civil War, one of my first films was also about the Civil War. So watch it at the same time. It was really interesting for me how how you could bring something that feels so close to our reality here in Spain. You could bring the fantasy world into it. That was something I really learned a lot of. And yeah, mainly I also of course love Hitchcock. It's a huge inspiration. Kubrick. And in terms of Spanish filmmaking, which is also really interesting, there's a bunch of genre filmmakers in Spain that are really great. And actually, genre here is like kind of developing itself, and I guess Spain is doing a lot of genre, and that's great. Like a lot of Paco Plaza, Jaume Balagueró, those are great directors. Alex de la Iglesia. Also, more recently, Carlota Pereda and Pablo Pagán are doing a lot of new stuff with a new angle. So that's great. Actually, Pablo Pagán had a film too this year, Irati. That was a closing film, so that's great. That's from Spain. Francisco
That
Javier
was
Gutierrez,
his,
who have Wait.
yeah, that was
We
his
actually
second
played with
film.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so both are great. I really like what they do, and yeah, there's also a lot of Spanish filmmaking. I think that's really great, and you can take a lot of that. Of course, Buñuel, etc. There's also Berlanga, which is from Valencia, my home. Well, I'm not going to name them all, but yeah, also Spanish filmmaking I think has a lot of potential, and genre Spanish filmmaker is really developing. So that's something I'm trying to. Oh, I did forget Ari Aster and Robert Eggers, which I love them and are great references. That's it. I'm not gonna say it.
So is there anybody you've left out? No, it sounds like you have a lot of influence and a lot of inspiration there in terms of why you became a filmmaker. But now, on a more current level, what does Pablo do? What do you do to maintain your sense of inspiration when writing and directing right now? What are some of the things you like to do to help yourself out?
For me, it's really one of the main thing I do, just not to like. I need to do it to write is to co-write for now. Like Voyager for once was a film I had to write, but I need the feedback. I need to bounce ideas back and forth. Like I cannot write without having not even a co-writer, even though a co-writer is usually more helpful. But am constantly need to like just throw ideas out there and see if some of them land. So for me, at least, just I know there's a lot of writers that can just log themselves in and write a full story. But I'm someone that needs to constantly check and see if the ideas working, because I can go down a whole path and suddenly figure out like this is not working, and it might be too late. So I really like to share ideas. I really like to inspire myself from people from my circles. So if I have, especially in student environment, you see a lot of people with like raw talent. Like you can see the talent, and they have great ideas. It's just like they're not writing anything or they're not shooting anything. So you just speaking with them, having a coffee, you can learn a lot of things to apply. I also think that, of course, looking at your world, sometimes you just need to take a look back and see like your environment, and suddenly like you feel it has changed in a way, because it's like, okay, right, I'm at a different point. So for example, I'm writing a horror film, and suddenly like I see my neighborhood in a different light, and it's like, okay, I can see these things that could be interesting to adapt into my screenplay. And yeah, of course, I like to mainly read screenplays in the like in a page like that, because as a director writer, it's really hard to separate both words. So when I can read actually just the screenplay I can see what the writer was able to put in. So that was something actually I learned that helped me a lot. Like, okay, this is like, without the directing, this is what the film looks like. And that helps a lot to write the screenplay without putting a lot of directing style into it.
Okay, that sounds great. I mean, and I can see the passion in that, just like you're talking in your own filmmaking. So if someone was to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to become a filmmaker," what advice would you give them?
Um, so I usually, just for filmmakers, my advice is always just go all in. Like, if learn by making mistakes mainly. But in my experience, it's just like, do a film that's so out of your league that, if the film you want to make is like this huge thing with 1,000 extras or whatever, you're probably not gonna be able to make it because you don't have the money. But you will be able to do something in the middle that you're gonna be proud of, and mostly just by trying to reach that, you're gonna learn so much. Like, you don't have a team, you don't have actors, just try to find them, try to like cover the holes yourself if you can, and you're gonna learn a lot. Like, from in my experience, the like I've learned some stuff at film school, but mainly I've learned filmmaking doing it. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'm doing this film, shooting in a week. I don't have the locations, I don't have the actors, I don't have the camera. Okay, I need to find a way to have this. And so you learn a lot of producing, you learn every department just by making it. Okay, my sound mixer dropped off the project. Okay, I have to do the mix. So you learn to do the mix, you learn to do sound. You don't have to take a course on that because, yeah, the deadline is in 1 week and you need to have the mix. So you better learn yourself or you're not going to have a film. So that's what helped me a lot, like just having the project in my ear and having to do it. Yeah, if I don't do it, and nobody's going to do it. So you better learn. That made me learn a lot.
So just jump in and go for it.
Yeah, that would be the advice.
Okay, so we've been going about a half an hour now. So I'm going to ask you, is there something, I mean, we've talked about people can see Voyager pretty much on the film festival circuit, kind of keep an eye out for local areas wherever they might be, because you've got a lot of festivals still coming up over the year. And after that time, you're looking at probably releasing it online so people can watch it starting at the end of 2024. Now, you're
Yep.
going to be looking at trying to turn this maybe into a feature, but you've got some other features work that you're trying to do also. So we'll be able to have a chance to see some of your work in the future, it sounds like, which I think
Hopefully.
is going to be really great to hear. So as we kind of finish up here, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to just say, to bring up and just kind of final comments?
Um, Nothing that I think of. Just again, thank you in this case at FilmQuest for bringing us together. It was a lovely experience. Just because I have the time, I wanted to shout out FilmQuest. Like, lovely festival, loved it. I had a lot of fun. I'm sure you had too. So yeah, it was great. Like, it's always great.
Yeah, it's a good place to meet people and kind of, like you're saying, making those connections with people uh, that have some of the other skill sets and finding those commonalities to bring together and
Exactly.
those
That's the
collaborative.
hardest part, and that's sometimes what filmmaking feels like. It's, you have just to find your Avengers team in a way. Like, and sometimes it's really hard if you don't have a film school behind, or you don't have a background. Like, for example, when I was here in my hometown, it's like, where do I find filmmakers? And find those places that can connect you to filmmakers with the same passion as you is great, because you end up doing amazing stuff. So that's really great about the films and festivals
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. I will kind of going along that, just kind of finish up with, I know there's been a number of collaborative works from people that are now considered FilmQuest alumni. And
Yeah,
those are not just showing up on, at festivals, but some of those are now showing up as major motion pictures that people have gone out and seen. So
that's great. Yeah, that's great. I always hear about that, and I'm really like, I just saw the vibes and said, yeah, this is a great place to meet people. And for so far, the best festival experience I've had, I think. So that's great.
All right. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, Pablo, for joining me and this
Thank you.
conversation about Voyager. We look forward to it. And like I tell people all the time, if you like this, please subscribe to the channel because that helps us to bring more people in and share it out and, help support the independent artists out there, be it film, books, games, whatever it is. Let's, pull it all together for all of us. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.